The wind dragged sorrow across the prairie like a frayed black veil, and I stood alone to watch it pass. Montana stretched around me, miles of brittle grass and sky wide enough to swallow a man whole. The sun sagged low, casting long scars of light over the fences I'd half-mended and the barn leaning tired against its own shadow. My name's Elias Thorne, and grief's been my only partner these 3 years since Clara died. Some nights I still hear her voice when the coyotes cry, though I know it's just wind crawling through empty rafters. I'd made a habit of staying alone. Safer that way. Safer than trusting anyone in this country that marks and measures you by blood and rumor as quick as weather changes. Safer than giving a heart that's already failed once. Tonight, though, a faint thrum reached me across the dusk. Hoofbeats. One rider, deliberate, cresting the low ridge west of the house. My pulse quickened before my brain caught up. Straight spine, steady seat, long braid shifting dark against a sunburnt shirt. Rose Campbell. 15 years gone, and yet I'd know her anywhere. She rode down without hurry. Dismounted at my gate like she'd done it yesterday. Dust curled around her boots as she looked up at me on the porch. "I hear you need help," she called, voice cut clean through the hush. I gripped the post till the wood bit my palm. "Don't need help." Her gaze didn't break. Those blue eyes were older now, storm-tested but still fierce. "Town says otherwise. Ranch too big for one man, no kin. Brennan circling." At the name, my jaw locked. Tom Brennan, banker turned would-be land baron, had been sniffing around my valley since winter. Railroad coming through, he'd said, and he aimed to profit. Men like him wore civility like a Sunday coat. Fine until they didn't get their way. "And you rode out here why?" I asked. "Because I'm tired of letting other men draw my map." She swung a small leather pouch from her shoulder and tossed it to me. Heavy in the hand. Coins and folded notes. "What's this?" $300. I sold everything, father's store, house, what little stock we had. "I want in." "In?" "Your partner, equal, not your housekeeper. Not your charity case." I stared, floored harder than if she'd slapped me. The last time I'd seen her, we were barely more than kids dreaming of a future her father called sin, because of her Lakota blood. He'd told me she didn't want me. Told her I pitied her. I'd believed him. Walked away, spent 15 years hating my own spine. "You'd stake your last dime on me?" I managed. "I'd stake it on this land," she said. But something softer flickered behind her words. "And on not being afraid anymore." Wind swept between us, carrying sage and old memory. Something shifted deep where grief had hardened. I stepped aside. "House isn't fancy." "I'm not looking for fancy." She brushed past me, smelling faintly of smoke and lavender. Rose moved through my home like someone measuring survival, not comfort. She set down her bag by the kitchen door and took in the bare pine table, the neat row of rifles above the hearth. "You moved the table for morning light," she said quietly. I blinked. "How'd you know that?" "Used to pass this way to sew for the Millers. Could see through the window. Saw you rebuild the porch, too. You take your coffee black. No sugar." "That's a lot of watching." "Yes," she said simply. I should have bristled, but instead the room felt warmer. We talked business then, or tried. Brennan's push for my land had grown meaner this spring. New taxes, neighbors turning cold after he hinted I couldn't keep up alone. Rose listened sharp, then traced circles on the rough tabletop. "He wants you desperate," she said. "If we stand together, it'll throw him off." I didn't tell her that what scared me more than Brennan was the old prejudice still coiled in town. She'd paid dearly for her mother's blood. Whispers of wild blood, half-breed, spit behind her back. Me marrying Clara, white and church-bred, had been my retreat from all that. Now Rose was here anyway, uninvited but unashamed. And something in me, something buried, stirred awake. A week later we rode fence lines together, sun burning copper on her cheekbones. She rode well, rifle in scabbard, eyes alive with calculation. That's when the first crack in the world came. We found a section of wire down, posts hacked through. Half the south herd had drifted. I crouched, fingers on a boot print. Big man, deep tread. Luke Brennan. Tom's cousin. Rose's face went cool. They're testing you. Let 'em, I muttered, but heat built behind my ribs. We spent half the day driving cattle back through shimmering dust, side by side. She whistled low to the strays. They followed her easy, as if they'd known her forever. When we stopped for water at the creek, I found the canteen dry. My pump's been failing. Well, sinking lower each month from drought. Another pressure point Brennan could use. You're running on spit and stubborn, Rose said quietly, noticing. Seems enough till it ain't, I admitted. She handed me her canteen without a word. Cool water shocked my throat. Unexpected kindness stung worse than the heat. Trouble broke hard 2 nights later. We'd just finished supper when hooves drummed close. Too close for travelers. I grabbed my rifle. Rose stood without flinching. Through the window. 3 men by lantern glow, Luke among them, swaggering drunk on malice. Luke hollered, "Evenin', Thorne. Hear you took in wild company. Thought we'd pay respects." I stepped onto the porch, rifle easy but ready. "Respects paid by leaving." He grinned. "Brennan says land's wasted on you. Hell, maybe we'll start a little fire, smoke you out." His hand drifted near his revolver. Rose appeared at my side, silent but steady, her Colt loose in her grip. Luke's eyes flicked to her and narrowed with a sneer. "Figures." I felt the old cowardice trying to creep back, but not this time. "You're trespassing," I said, voice flat. "Right on." He laughed and drew. I fired first. The report cracked through night. His hat spun clean away, bullet grazing hair, not skull. Warning shot by a hair's mercy. The other 2 froze. "You want to test me again?" I asked. Luke's face went pale. He spat, muttered something ugly, and turned his horse. The others followed, shadows melting into dark. My hands shook once they were gone, but I didn't let her see. Rose holstered her Colt slow. "Could have killed him." "Could have." "You didn't." "No need." For a moment she just looked at me, something unreadable behind her gaze. Then she touched my arm, light as rain. That was the man I used to know. Afterward, we sat on the porch under lantern light, listening for returning hoofbeats. None came. "Word'll spread," she said. "Good. Not just fear, Elias, prejudice too." "I know." Her shoulders squared. "Then we let them talk." I looked at her then, truly looked, and the years between us fell away like brittle bark. She'd grown stronger, edges burnished by hard living, but the heart was the same. "You sure about this?" I asked, meaning more than partnership. She met my eyes steady. "I've never been more sure." Something in my chest, locked since Clara's grave, shifted, pain and wonder at once. Toward midnight, a lantern flared on the ridge, far off but clear. Not Luke, too deliberate. Rose leaned forward. "Signal?" "Could be," I said. Brennan had friends with deeper pockets than Luke's mouth. Some warning, some plot, I didn't know yet. But trouble was coming, not tonight but soon. I looked at the woman beside me, coins and courage spent to stand here. The ranch might yet be taken, but if it was, it wouldn't be without fight or witness. "Whatever's next," I said quietly. "We stand together." She smiled then. Not sweet, but fierce, a flame banked and ready. "That's why I came." The lantern winked out. The prairie went black and vast around us, wind full of secrets. I felt the tremor of change deep in my bones, equal parts fear and something like hope. Banja Noi. The prairie lay black and bottomless after the lantern winked out on the ridge. I sat there long after, listening to wind and night birds. The weight of Rose's shoulder, a quiet anchor beside me. "You think that was Brennan?" she asked. "Maybe," I said. Maybe someone else counting my cattle, my bullets, or both. She didn't flinch. Then we count back. I almost smiled at her calm. Almost. Morning came raw and clear, sun peeling mist off the coulees. We moved through chores, half silent but not cold. More like two folks saving breath for what mattered. At the well, I worked the pump and got a thin cough of water. My gut tightened. Rose noticed. It's dropping faster than you said. Dry spring. She knelt, fingertips brushing the parched earth. If Brennan's cutting fences, he could cut this too. Poison it even. Wouldn't put it past him. Then we protect it. Her matter-of-fact tone soothed and stung. I'd been alone so long I'd forgotten how it felt to have someone see every weak seam and not look away. By noon we'd built a crude cover over the well, padlocked and chained. She stood wiping dust from her hands, eyes searching mine. One hole down. Plenty left. I tried for humor. Thought you came to cook and clean. She smirked. I came to win. That night, second danger showed its teeth. I'd gone out for a last check on the herd. The moon was high and bone white when movement flickered along the far pasture fence. I froze, heart thudding. Two shadows knelt low by the posts, wire cutters catching silver light. I whistled low, the sound meant for Rose. She appeared moments later, silent as a cat, Colt in hand. Two, I mouthed. She nodded, eyes flint. We flanked wide, closing the distance till one man cursed softly. A voice I knew. Earl Danner. Old rancher turned Brennan errand boy. I stepped from shadow, rifle aimed center mass. Evenin', Earl. He jerked, nearly dropped his cutter. The other man, young and scared, fumbled for a pistol. Rose's voice cracked sharp behind him. Don't. He froze. Fence stays, I said. So do the cattle, Earl spat. Brennan says you'll fold once you're bled dry. I felt the old anger flare. Tell Brennan I'm not alone. I didn't look at Rose, but the air shifted when I said it. Earl's jaw ticked. You got no right, Thorne. She ain't one of us. My stomach went cold, but my voice stayed level. She's more than you'll ever be, Earl. He twitched like he might test me. The young one panicked first, drew halfway. My shot cracked and sang, taking the pistol clean from his hand, sparking against the fence. Next one's not a warning, I said. They left, running more than riding. Rose exhaled slow. Could have killed him. Didn't want to, I muttered. Kid's eyes still have hope in 'em. You surprise me. You should know me by now. Her look lingered a little too long, before she turned away. Next day the well ran dry. I stood, staring at the pump handle clanging useless in my palm. Dust eddied like bad omens. Rose came up with 2 buckets. You said it'd hold. It should have. We checked the catchment pipes, nothing. Then she crouched, ran fingers along the edge of the stone collar and found it. Dark grains where the water should have been clear. Bitter scent, lie, she said flatly. I swore low. Poison. Brennan was done cutting. Now he meant to choke us out. Rose's face was pale but steady. We need water and proof. Proof meant risk. But thirst's a worse enemy than bullets. By dusk we were saddled, heading for the north creek that cut through Brennan's least grazing land. Quiet ride, but heavy with things unspoken. Halfway there we found the third danger waiting. A dry wash bent the trail. 3 riders stepped out from cottonwoods, rifles raised. Faces half hidden but voices clear. Brennan's hired boys. Turn around. Thorne, the lead one drawled. Need water, I answered. Not here, you don't. Behind me. Rose's breath hitched, but her gun was already in hand. Then the man grinned. Leave the squaw and we might let you pass. Everything inside me snapped taut. I moved first. Rifle barked fire. His hat leapt like a startled crow and he tumbled back cursing. The other 2 fanned wide, gunfire flaring. Rose's Colt cracked twice, fast and sure. One man down, leg hit. The other's horse spooked and bolted. Silence after, sharp as broken glass. The one she'd winged lay groaning. He looked barely 20. I stepped over, gun still on him. Name? Cal, he hissed. Cal, tell Brennan next time he sends boys, send men. He winced. He ain't just after land. Said you got paper Dee wants burned. My pulse lurched. Deed? Rose's brow furrowed. My buy-in. Cal nodded, eyes wide. He says if it's gone, she's nothing, just some half-breed squatting. Heat flooded me, shame and rage at once. Brennan wasn't just after land. He meant to erase her claim, her name. Go, I said. Cal scrambled up and limped off into shadow. Rose holstered slow, jaw trembling, but not from fear. Half-breed, she whispered, I'm sorry. The words felt small against the wound. She looked at me long and raw. Don't you dare be sorry for me. Be angry, fight. I swallowed hard and nodded. We reached the creek under moonlight, horses blowing hard. Filled skins and silence, but something new pulsed between us. Fury, yes, but also a strange unity, like standing back to back after surviving a lightning strike. On the ride home, she broke it. You let him live. Kid's already bleeding. Killing him would make me Brennan. She was quiet a long time, then said softly, That's the man I loved once. I almost dropped the reins. Loved. Past tense, but heavy with unfinished business. You loved me? I asked before I could stop myself. I still might. Barely audible, lost under hoofbeats, but I heard. The world tilted. Dry wind tasted sweet for a heartbeat. We reached the ranch past midnight. My house stood small but stubborn in starlight. I swung down, reached to help her, but she was already off, graceful and quick. At the porch she turned, lantern light catching her face, smudged with dust, eyes bright with something like challenge. Elias, if Brennan's coming after me after us, then we stop him together. I won't let him touch you. She shook her head. It's not about letting. It's about standing. Equal. Then softer. Don't push me away to save me. I'm not the girl you left. I see that, I said, voice rougher than I wanted. For a heartbeat we stood close, heat rising in the cool night, the years like smoke between us. Her hand lifted halfway, then dropped, a push-pull as old as us. We'll need allies, she said finally. People who still have spines. Sheriff Wade. And Danny, she added. Kid's brave enough to fetch help once. Maybe he'll do more, I nodded. At first light? She gave one quick, fierce smile, then stepped past me into the house. I stayed out under the stars after she went in. Sky wide and brutal, but not empty anymore. My chest ached with more than grief now, something raw, alive, dangerous. Inside, I heard her moving. Boots off, water poured, the quiet rhythm of someone who belonged. Tomorrow, we'd gather allies. Tomorrow, we'd prepare for a bigger fight. But tonight, the real danger was closer. Hope. And just as I turned to go inside, a soft scrape made me freeze. At the gate, dark against darker, a figure knelt, someone placing something on my fence post before slipping away silent as smoke. I strode down, heart pounding, and found a bundle tied in red cloth. Inside, a charred scrap of paper that had once been a deed. Not mine. Hers. Brennan had touched what was hers already. Behind me, the door opened. Elias? Rose's voice low, wary. I looked back at her, lantern haloing her face, and felt a fire rise that was bigger than fear. They're coming for you, I said, so they'll have to come through me. She stepped onto the porch, revolver loose in her hand, and smiled a smile made of steel. Then let's make 'em bleed for every inch. The night swallowed our words, but the stars above burned hard and bright, as if they approved.